Okay, so the first hole here at the Excelsior Springs Golf Course, we have a par 5, 540 yards. Ideally, you'd want to be in the right-hand side of this fairway. The fairway kind of goes over the hill and then dog legs around the corner to the left. So your best angle to reach the green in 2 is to be on the right-hand side of the fairway. Even if you're in the rough, it's not a bad place to be. So a little cut shot off the tee would be ideal. This green slopes entirely back to front and a little bit right to left. So if you get a pin position that's in the front left, middle left, even back left, that side of the green slopes a little bit more severely, and those putts tend to be a lot more difficult. The key to this hole is to keep the ball below the hole if you can. Again, we've got a fairway, a little bit of a blind tee shot. Fairway goes over the hill, and everything's going to slope to the right. There is a pond at the bottom of the hill, but you cannot reach that off the tee. So we're looking to aim kind of the left edge of the fairway or left center of the fairway and either hit a straight shot or a nice little fade, and it should be in the perfect position, give you about anywhere from 150 to 120 yards into the green. Second shot in, we've got about 100 yards. This green has a false front, so really you're only looking at the back 2/3 of the green that are playable. Again, the green slopes severely back to front, so anything below the hole is good, but you got to make sure you cover that false front. So hole number 3, 206-yard par 3, always plays a little bit longer than the yardage. The green is one of the flattest greens on the course, but there is a small little bowl in the front left corner. The tee box is going to want to set you up a little bit to the right, so just make sure that you keep the flag in mind and hit away. So off the tee, you can also, if your ball lands up to the right side of the green, we have this big slope that tends to kick the ball back on. So luckily in my case today, I got a good kick off that slope. I've got about a 20-footer here for birdie. Okay, so hole number 4, another little par 3. It's plays about 170 yards downhill. Green slopes back to front again. Definitely don't want to be past the green. That's a very difficult up and down. So anything, kind of the aiming point is the big tree behind the green. If you hit a little draw or hit a little fade, you should be fine. hole number 5, we have a slight dogleg par 4, 398 yards. There's a ditch right in the middle of the fairway, but there's no trouble with it. So you can just hit it right down the middle of the fairway. Again, little cut, little draw, doesn't hurt you either way. Okay, so the second shot, green will be, you won't be able to see the green, it'll be kind of hidden. But this green again slopes back to front with kind of everything bowls back to the middle. So really anywhere on the green is a good spot to be. Okay, hole number 6, exactly a 400-yard par 4. For some people that you can hit driver, but about 220 yards out, the fairway stops, and then you have about 40 yards of kind of rough, and then there's a small creek. So for me, it's going to be a 3-wood. There is out of bounds on the right. Ideally, the best shot would be to aim down the left-hand side of the fairway with a little fade, bring it right back to the middle. Okay, so we've got about 145 yards in. The green again slopes back to front. And there's a ridge that runs kind of from the front left corner of the green up to the back right corner. And everything kind of falls severely to the front right of the green. There's almost a little bowl. So with today's pin being on the left-hand side of that ridge, ideally I want to hit this ball past the center. It gives me a downhill putt, but it makes sure that I don't have to putt over the ridge. Okay, hole number 7, 390-yard par 4, dogleg left. You can't see the first part of the dogleg, you can only see the second part of the fairway. There's no separation, it's just one continuous fairway, but you just can't see the first half of it. There is a lateral penalty area to the right. Anything in the right center of the fairway typically sets you up for a really good approach shot into this green. This green is one of the toughest greens on the golf course due to the severity of slope that it has from the middle to the front of the green. So we're going to see if we can put it in the right-hand side of the fairway, give ourselves a good look for birdie. Okay, so we've got about 80 yards in now for our second shot, and we really have to be careful not to hit, for the better player, we have to make sure not to hit a club that's going to spin too much, because it'll spin right off the front of the green, even with this pin being on the back. So we're going to take a little bit less loft and kind of work it in there. But 80 yards, the pin's in the back. Again, the left side of the green all slopes down the left hill. So we want to make sure that we either miss the ball just short of the pin or to the right of the pin to give ourselves the best opportunity. 379 yard, slight dog leg to the right. There is another kind of valley or ditch in this fairway, but again, no trouble in it. Better players find this hole to be pretty fun because on a good day, you can almost drive the green, believe it or not. So anything up in the left-hand side of the fairway, when it lands, it'll trickle back to the right, and it'll give you a good look, really good look at birdie because this is, again, one of the more flat greens on the golf course. Second shot, we've got about 75, 80 yards. Again, the green is one of the flattest greens on the golf course. However, there is a little bit of a false edge on the right side. So anytime the pin's on the right, always go for the middle of the green. But if the pin's in the middle or on the left, you can pretty much go right at the flat. Hole number 9, par 5, 505 yards. There is, off the tee box here, we're playing from the blues today, so from this distance it's going to be about a 220 to 240 yard carry. There's a small creek that runs through the middle of the fairway up ahead. On the left side, the short side, it's about 220 yards to get to it from this tee box, and on the far right side it's about 240 yards to get to it. So for a longer hitter, shouldn't be any problem hitting it right over the creek. Again, it is a dogleg left up a big hill, so the yardage typically plays longer than what the scorecard says. Okay, so for the average golfer here, we're probably going to hit a layup shot. I got a 6-iron here to lay up with. Should leave me about inside 100 yards out. But for the golfer who wants to go for the green in 2, we've got about 240 yards from here. The green slopes back to front, more so back right to front left. Anything in the front half of the green is going to be a pretty severe false front. So we want to make sure that we get the ball at least to the middle of the green if we're going for it, or our third shot into the green. All right, hole number 10, 410 yard par 4, just straight away up the hill here. Green's gonna slope back to front again. This is one of the easier holes on the golf course. For a player who hits a draw, they're just gonna aim at the big tree right to the right of the green and kind of draw back to the middle of the fairway. A player that hits a cut would aim kind of at the center of the green with a little cut, and it'll bounce back to the left once it hits the ground. So here we go. So our second shot in here, we've got about 135 yards, and again, the green's relatively flat other than the front edge kind of falls off the front of the green. It's a little bit elevated, so it's hard to see the green from your second shot, but anything at the center of the green is always a good play on this hole. one of the prettiest tee shots on the golf course in my opinion. Fairway slopes severely from right to left, and it's a slight dogleg to the left. So you really want to make sure to aim up to the right-hand side of the fairway to let the ball trickle down to give you a good look at the green. The green's kind of split into two sections. You have the front left section and the back right section. There's a ridge that runs through the middle. So depending on where the flag is cut, you'll want to be on either side of that ridge to give yourself the best possible look at birdie. So ideal tee shot would be a slight draw off the right edge of the fairway. Okay, our second shot here, we've got about 120 yards. This pin today is right in the middle, so anything kind of to the right-hand side of the pin will be on the right side of the ridge that runs right through the middle of the green. That ridge runs from basically right in the middle to the back left edge. The green's not very deep, so with the downhill slope, you want to make sure to choose your club wisely because over the green is no bueno. Okay, hole number 12, maybe one of the trickiest driving holes on the course. We've got a split fairway. To the end of the first fairway from the blue tees is about 225, 230 yards. Then there's a big kind of gorge. There's nothing in the gorge, so you can hit it down there, and then it comes back up the slope. To get to the second fairway, you need to carry it about 260 yards. This is a relatively short hole, and you can take advantage of it with a really big tee shot, but for the average golfer, I would recommend that you lay up, give yourself about 120 yards into the green, and take trouble out of play. Our second shot here, we've got about 145 yards. You can't see the green if you choose to lay up, or even if you choose to hit it into the second fairway, you're going to have a blind second shot into the green. This green has a ridge that runs through the front third and slopes back to off the front of the green. So again, another hole where you want to know where the pin's at and play accordingly. The rest of the green is pretty flat and slowly or gradually slopes from right to left. So today the pin's on the right. We're just going to try to hit this at the center of the green and make sure we get it past that ridge. We should have a good opportunity. Okay, hole number 13, par 3, 180 yards, downhill. This green is kind of interesting because where the green sets, everything around it, it's kind of mounded up. So even though you're hitting downhill, the green kind of stands alone in its own space. So you don't want to be short and you don't want to be left. If you're going to miss the green, you want to miss it to the right-hand side to give yourself the easiest up and down. Green slopes gradually from back to front. And visually it looks like an easy hole, but it plays a lot harder than what it looks. This green has a bowl on the right-hand side of the green that if your ball lands in that, it will be off the green and about 15 yards down to the right of the green. Any miss to the left is okay. Missing to the right is not going to be your ideal situation to get up and down for par, and we don't want to be long. So trouble long and trouble right. Ideally, we're looking just to hit the left center of the green, make our par, and move on. Short par 5, only 475 yards from the back tees. Slight dogleg right up the hill. Pretty easily reached green and 2 for a average golfer, so definitely a scoring hole that you can capitalize on here. Okay, so we've got about 170 yards here, and again, everything's going to slope to the right, so if you land it short of the green and try to run it on, you just want to take that into account, maybe play a little bit more to the left. You can't see the surface of the green from your second shot, but the green's relatively flat. Again, just like most of the greens out here, avoid the front part of the green because that does have a little bit of a false front, and it'll roll back off into the approach. So anything center of the green here gives you a great look at eagle.
All right, number 16, called the fadeaway hole. Kind of an unusual hole. There's no level lie on this hole whatsoever. It doesn't matter where your tee ball is going to end up. The ball is going to either be below your feet or above your feet or side hill. Years ago, there was a tree right dead in the middle of the fairway, about 178 out, and they called it Old Maud, but it took a lightning strike and went down. So now you've got kind of a split fairway. You hit to kind of a blind fairway, then it stops, goes downhill, rough area, and then the fairway starts again on the left side of the fairway. So the ideal spot to be for the locals that kind of know where they're going, you would aim kind of over this flower bed and draw it, and you'll hopefully have enough length to get to the second cutting of the fairway. This fairway runs so hard from left to right, it could be what looks to be perfect. Well, here I am, like I said earlier, ball below my feet. About a 60-yard shot. This pin is got, like the green's got a hog back in the middle, so where the pin's cut today, ideal spot would be probably left front, and this will be extremely hard to stop out of the rough and downwind. This green is not very big. There are some tricky pin placements, especially to the right of this flag in the back right corner, but we'll see what we can do. Not bad. Par 4, dog legs left. Got to be accurate on the tee. About probably 200 out. The fairway will drop hard downhill and to the left. Once again, might not be in a good hole to get a level lie on, which is kind of normal for this golf course. We've got trouble left. It's mainly big trees and native grass, as well as big trees and native grass. Right, so that tightens up the golf course quite a bit. Predominantly left to right wind out of the south. real small green. This green was one of our old original greens built back in the 40s. So unlike the rest of the greens on the course, that some of them have been rebuilt recently, this is one of the ones that is the original green. So it's a real small target, pretty flat. One of the hardest greens on the course to putt because it has so many little subtle breaks. Nothing major, no hogbacks, no ups and downs, but real subtle breaks. That's kind of, you might say, kind of cut the corner a little bit. That should be all right, but we won't know till we get up there. This is hole number 18, called the Sunset. As you can see, back in the day, you can see a real hop on this high hill. You can see the sunset, so that apparently that's where it got its name. Par 5, downhill, dog leg left, and then straight uphill on the second and or third shot. And the fairway gets narrow just based on the way it's designed. So we have trees and native grass to the left. Very easy to hit through the fairway, which is tree lined all the way from up to the green. And then on the left side, once you get off your tee ball, then you'll have more trees and rough and native grass area up the left side. So it's an excellent finishing hole, has good length. Today, downwind won't play quite like it, nor it does, but it makes the tee ball a little more difficult because you can drive it through the fairway into the trees on the right, which is dead. You can't play a lick from over there. So, good finishing hole here at Excelsior. Bad. We'll see. Once again, the last of our 4 original greens. This is another one of them. Real small target, very little undulation. Maybe front center is a little that slopes towards you, but for the most part, just pretty flat. But once again, a lot of subtle breaks. It's an extremely difficult green to chip, especially for the ones that aren't local.